Hello and welcome to ET Auto, a startup Adda station for innovation. In the last 2 3 years, we have seen a massive number of startups that have tried to be part of the mobility business. Of course, an industry when it is on the brink of transition, there's always multiple opportunity that comes in, and most of us want to be part of this transition and probably want to be part of the larger business change that is going to shape up the new mobility industry. Today, this startup Adda is going to evaluate a company called Log9 Scientific that is mainly into battery chemistry and also trying to contribute to the mobility industry in different manner. This show is primarily to brainstorm with these startup founders, innovators, and also mentors, and also bring investors who can put their light thoughts on which are the startups or the company they are going to put their bet on, and what are the new opportunity that is opening up that where you can probably part of that business scenario or you can build your startups around. So let me introduce today's guest that we have. We have here with us Pankaj Sharma. He is the co-founder of Log9 Scientific. He is an IIT graduate. More about him and the company will hear from him. But before that, let me introduce the guest or the expert that we have today is Mr. Kavan Mukhtiar. He is partner and leader automotive at Price Waterhouse Cooper India. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining it Auto Startup Adda. As you know the format, before we get into the discussion, I would like to invite Pankaj to give us a sense what Log9 is trying to do. It's a new startup. How are they trying to create a space for themselves in this mobility space, and how do they see the future mobility, and where do they find their space, and what are their big bets, small bets, mid-term, short-term bets, and how they want to build their company, what are their scaling up idea, how do they want to be more and more adaptable to the changing market scenario. Over to you, Pankaj.
Thanks, Nabil, for inviting us over. It's always fun and interesting to talk about, the startup life. It's always differently seen from two different sides. But at Log9, we are completely focused at revolutionizing the electric vehicle mobility space because we truly believe that the time has come. We are at the brink of a sustainability crisis. The COP26 just got concluded, and what we have from Government of India is very clear mandate that we need to create an India that is sustainable, that is clean, and it's climate friendly. So from that perspective, I think we find ourselves at the right place at the right time. Log9 is a material science company, and we spun the company out from IIT Roorkee 2015. Akshay and Karthik, my other two co-founders. And as we started to build this company, we were completely focused at using graphene and understanding how graphene can be used in many different applications. Obviously, our major port of call had been energy and filtration. We are now completely focused at using graphene and creating battery technologies, using graphene and advanced cell chemistries to see how can we create batteries that are better than what we get in the market right now. The whole idea is for electric vehicle penetration to go above that 1%, we need battery technologies that is durable, that is insta chargeable, that gives you peace of mind, it gives you a performance when you need it, and most importantly, it should make commercial sense. It should never be super expensive to buy and run an electric vehicle. So that's our focus. We are based out of Bangalore, and our focus is to first go for B2B commercial fleets, enabling them with electric vehicle. Our dream is that in India, khushiyon ki delivery should always happen on an electric vehicle.
Great. So, what's your business model? Can you give us more sense about your entire business model? If you have probably a deck, you can present that quickly in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. Let me just quickly share my screen and do a quick deck. I hope you can see my screen share.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, Log9 is completely focused at innovating the energy storage space, and battery is at the heart of every energy system. And that's what we are focused at. We are at the forefront of providing a technology that is dependable. So we will always start with that electric vehicles should be as dependable as an IC engine. They should be able to run as long as IC engines. They should be able to resell these electric vehicles as easily as IC engines. And the usability and charging of these electric vehicle has to be as simple as IC vehicles. So we really have a 50, 70-year-old technology as a benchmark to create our energy storage solutions. And I'm very happy that recently we did a launch that I'm going to talk about in this slide deck. So before I jump into what we're building, just a very quick update on where everything stands in the electric vehicle space and the battery technology space. If you look at it, there is no one electric EV battery that can solve the mobility challenge across all different vehicle types. For example, when you look at a two-wheelers, the charging time is a very crucial part, and it kind of gets wasted because the batteries which are going on in the typical two-wheelers are low power batteries. They operate at a very low C rate. What it means is you cannot charge them that fast. So the grid can give all the energy, but the battery in the two-wheelers are not designed to take that energy, and hence they take easily 1 to 2 hours to get fully charged. Hence, the problem is to optimize the battery for two-wheelers that can work at a higher charge rate. When you move into, let's say, a three-wheeler space, the problem is that when you're running a three-wheeler, you want to run it for, let's say, 100,000 kilometers. But the current electric vehicle batteries which are there in the market, they just don't support those many cycles. So what happens is the three-wheelers, are within 2 to 2.5 years, end up with a position where the batteries are no more usable. They have to change it, and that kind of really increases the cost of ownership for these vehicles. And then as we get on to the four-wheeler, which is a passenger car, the challenge is truly to make a powerful battery that gets charged in a sensible time frame and is able to give performance to the battery while keeping the range anxiety in check. And obviously, as we start to go into higher energy density requirements for 1 tonners and above, that is a place where lithium-ion is truly a tricky game to play, because sometimes to run a bus on a lithium-ion battery, the cost of the battery really overshoots the price of the bus. So what I'm trying to say is there is no one battery that you can fit across all of them, and hence we have to develop solutions for each use case separately. So at Log9, I'm super happy and proud to say that on this Diwali, we came out with the fastest charging electric three-wheeler in India. We have partnered with leading OEM Omega Seki Mobility to bring this very, very unique electric vehicle in the market. It's called Rage Plus Rapid EV. The Rapid EV signifies that this is a vehicle that can get fully charged from zero to full charge within 35 minutes. Now that is substantial because currently a three-wheeler of its own category, which is an L5 category that we have launched in the market, takes anything between 4 to 5 hours to get fully charged. So this is really a landmark step forward where these vehicles can get instantly charged. We call it an Insta Charge technology, and you can go from zero to full in 35 minutes. But honestly speaking, nobody kind of puts their vehicle to charge at zero state. This vehicle is built for opportunity charging. So whenever the driver has a small break, he's having a cup of tea, has about 5 minutes to charge the vehicle, they can top up this vehicle and then can go miles and miles. What we've done on this festive offer is we've opened up a pre-booking offer. Our partners can book this particular vehicle for just by paying rupees 10,000. And this offer is only available for the first 1,000 vehicles. So there is kind of a rush in the market to get their hands onto it. It's available on the website rapidev.live. But what's really, really unique here are the two offers that we've bundled with this particular vehicle. One is that we're giving a 1 lakh buyback warranty within the 5 years. So if the user wants to sell the vehicle back to us within the first 5 years, we're happy to pay back 1 lakh rupees. And that's the kind of trust that we have on our product, that we truly believe that our product is going to last years and years, and we are backing up with the buyback guarantee. Moreover, this is the only electric vehicle in the market at this point of time that comes with a 6-year battery warranty for this category. The vehicle itself carries a 5-year warranty, and we are starting delivery 3 weeks from the date of pre-booking. So I invite everyone on this channel to be part of this revolution that we've been experiencing, and a big shout out to our OEM partner Omega Seki to work with us and make this a dream come true reality for the last mile delivery people and the fleet managers. Quickly talking about the technology that is built into it, we have commercialized our first battery, which is called a RapidX 6000. This particular battery has these 4 very dynamic features. First of all, this is the fastest charging battery in its category. Hand square down, this is this battery is able to absorb energy at a very fast C rate. What it means is I can push the energy into this battery on hyperchargers, fast chargers, very, very fast. Second thing is this battery is made for India. If you look at it, most of the electric batteries are either built in China or they were invented in the US or Europe for a very different climate. And in India, we have challenges of 45 degrees and humidity that crosses 85%. And these are conditions in which lithium-ion batteries or high-power cells or even our technologies would always find a challenging space. But so what we've done at Log9 is we've created this electric battery that can work between minus 30 degrees and 60 degrees all the way. So whether you're in Kashmir or whether you're in Kanyakumari, this battery will perform just the same. And that kind of gives us the peace of mind when we commercialize this product. The other big thing is that we have a 10-year plus battery life onto this, that this vehicle is good to go. This battery, we know that it's, we've done the stress test. This is a pretty long-term battery that we have on our hand. And last but not the least, this is also the safest battery in the Indian market. Traditionally EV batteries, they suffer with a phenomena called thermal runaway, and those batteries become unstable. They can catch fire, and there has been safety hazards in the market. You can take our battery and cut it right in the middle, in the half, and nothing will happen, because that's the kind of chemistry that we're using. So this is the safest battery, the longest life, made for Indian climate, and as everybody has asked for it, this is insta charged. To give the user the flexibility and peace of mind that where will I charge? That's a question we've always had. And when you have electric vehicle, unlike the petrol pumps that you can locate, in electric vehicle, identifying the chargers, booking the chargers for the slot you want to have it, it's still something that is work in progress. But I'm happy that at Log9 we have created a unique app, which is called the InstaCharge app. Our users can dynamically search while they are on the go, using their GPS location. They can search the nearest charging point, and we have mapped out public chargers onto this particular app, and we have made a battery compatible so that it can get charged at most of the public charging infrastructure. So what truly now we have brought is the vehicle, the battery, and the app enablement for the users to have a frictionless experience to instantly charge their vehicle while they get small breaks, and they're always on. So the kind of similar experience that probably you would have on a normal ICE engine, filling at the gas station. So that's where we are. This particular offer is open in Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi, and we are looking forward to making it available across all of India very, very soon.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. So that was a quite impressive presentation. You claimed that it is going to be one of the safest battery, and probably having one of the longest. You can say the longest. Efficiency. That's what you said. Just want to understand what kind of cathode are you using, and can you give us a exact sense on one charge how many kilometers it can do, and are you trying to make it a intra-city or intercity application? What's the idea basically?
Yeah, so this is purely built for last mile delivery for sure. This is to, all last mile aggregators, whenever you have a certain delivery to be done within, let's say, a 90 plus kilometer range, this vehicle is designed for that. Obviously, it's not designed to go out of the city. So on a full charge, you get about 90 kilometer plus range on this particular vehicle. It carries a 6 kilowatt hour battery pack into it. The chemistry is little proprietary, so may not be the right forum for us to talk about it. But as I mentioned, the range is something predictable, and the charging time is predictable. The other unique thing about this particular battery tech is that what typically happens in EV batteries is as the state of charge goes down, the vehicle starts to perform poorly. So maybe at the 100% start charging time, the vehicle works really well, but when the vehicle is discharged to about 40% or 30%, you suddenly see there is a lag in power. But in our battery tech, we just not built the battery, we created the BMS on top of it, the electronics layer. So we are able to control the entire infrastructure of how the battery is talking to the vehicle, and we are able to get nearly the same performance up till the last packet of energy. And that's the big thing, that for the user, whether it is 100% charge or 20% charge, the experience doesn't change.
We'll get into the details of the business in terms of investment, how lucrative the business is, what kind of commercial sense does it make. Before that, I'll just bring in the expert for the day, Kavan. And Kavan, can you please give your evaluation on the business aspect where Log9 is trying to make itself a big market they're trying to capture, or they're trying to do a business, or what kind of scalability, adaptability, or you can say profitability you see for such companies? And you can probably ask a few questions to Pankaj if you have. Can we have Kavan? I think there's some glitch, and we are. Oh, Kavan, are you back? Oh, there seems to be some issue. But let's continue the discussion, Pankaj. How did you get the idea of starting this business? There are a lot of opportunity that coming up in the mobility space. Why did you choose this? And how are you going to get benefit from the kind of arrangement that you have made with the OEM? You are trying to be part of one OEM, or is it open to other OEMs also? Then how will your OEM partner be happy with this kind of arrangement when the same kind of advantage is being offered to their competitive competition as well? So what kind of competitive advantage one can have by using Log9? So if you could briefly tell, then I'll invite Kavan to give his evaluation, then we'll get into the details.
Yeah, I think we are all wiser in hindsight. Obviously, when you start the startup, you have a sketchy idea how it's all going to pan out, and that's how it was with us for also. We were, as I mentioned, we were a material science company. We were hardcore chemists and nanotechnologists. At that point in time, the Indian EV revolution had not started, but
Hmm.
we were always very, very sure that to make India self-reliant and to create the deep tech company out of India, we always were pretty sure that we will always be a company that's going to build technology grounds up. Whether it is going to be material science, whether it's going to be electric vehicle, whether it's going to be cell to pack to battery levels, we were very, very clear from the day one till today that our reliance on our own indigenized ability should be the highest. And that's the only way to build a deep tech company. So that has stayed true. Coming back to your question in terms of what kind of partnership and alliance we have from with the OEMs, obviously Omega Seki Mobility is a very good strategic partner for us. We've enjoyed working with them, developing the product with them. Uh, at Log9, we are completely focused at creating the battery and the electronic technology on top of it. And our partnership with our OEMs is we take a vehicle from them, we integrate our technology, and then we ship our batteries to our OEM partners, and then they integrate our technology on their assembly line and make it available into the market. The customer typically buys the product directly from the OEM. We are only at the back end providing the tech support, but we are hand holding the entire transaction when it comes to providing the battery guarantees, the buyback warranties. We are equally supported along with the OEM for that. But the front ending of the sales, the distribution channel, the distributing market that has been created is primarily driven by the OEMs. Having said that, I think the biggest advantage that OEMs enjoy when they work with Log9 is they're working with indigenized, domestically created battery technology that does not have the dependency on a lot of other international market variables. So that's one. Second is this is a technology that is built for safety, security, peace of mind, and performance. So while there are batteries in the market, but you're really not sure whether they will perform for 2 years, 3 years. You have no guarantee and warranty on top of them. So when
So
OEMs are
what is the
partnering with,
guarantee of your battery that it will perform? What special are you doing? How are you doing differently? What is the chemistry that you are using at cathode?
so the major differentiator that we always bring to the table is there are materials that we used in our cell chemistries, which are different than the standard lithium-ion batteries that are there in the
So that's
market.
what I want to understand. What are those materials? Generally,
So there are
cobalt,
some.
lithium, manganese, and all are used. What are you using?
So see, as far as these batteries are concerned, there will always be a metal involved. It could be a lithium, will always be there. But there are all the other components are always needed. For there is a certain amount of electrolyte chemistry that needed to be worked out. There has to be, the carbon side of the cells has to be worked out. So what we've done is we've tweaked all these components in a cell, so that the idea is not to replace lithium, but to replace, let's say, other rare earth materials like cobalt is being one of them, and to have indigenized ability to have material level impregnation in those cells so that the batteries are something that can last longer, while our dependency on import on these raw materials is not very, very high. Most of the materials that we use for our stuff, they are locally sourced and they are available in India, and that's the direction we're going in. It's about creating an ecosystem of not only becoming the largest battery manufacturer, partnering with the largest battery manufacturers, but also partnering with raw material suppliers to ensure that your dependency on foreign imports is less and you can have your raw materials come from within the country, then you can stabilize the production.
That's the part of the logistics and the raw material side. Just wanted to understand what's the peculiarity in your chemistry that makes it robust enough or better than the others? That was my original question.
Yeah, I would say, I would credit it to two or three things. One is definitely the materials that we have put into these batteries. That is one. Second is we have also created. So cell actually is a very complex thing to kind of get into it. But even when we kind of take care of that part of the technology, which is the cell level technology, there's a lot of battery tech that comes on top of it, which manages the entire battery. For example, most of the electric batteries are driven by this huge problem of temperature variance. So a large part of thermal management has to be kind of, subsystems need to be developed for keeping the batteries competitive. In our cell technologies, we don't have those kind of, high temperature challenges, and hence we could concentrate our electronics to manage the battery well. We are, because the cells are working at a high C rate, we can get a lot more regenerative energy captured back. So overall high cycle life because of new materials, BMS and power electronics on top of it to manage themselves in a state where they can talk to very easily with the vehicle. Those are the two major innovations we have.
The problem is that, Pankaj, every other battery cell manufacturer or the battery chemistry provider claims that we are better than the other one. So that's why I wanted to be completely spelled out which material are you using, how is it increasing the life cycle, how is it increasing the density of this cell, like higher use of cobalt, but cobalt is a costly metal. So, are you replacing something? Are you trying to reduce the cobalt content? We'll discuss all that. But before that, let me bring in Kavan and understand his evaluation of the business opportunity in this particular space, and also looking at the business model that Pankaj has adopted. Your take on it, Kavan.
So definitely, I think Log9's thinking is quite different, and while a lot of the industry is moving forward towards lithium-ion based batteries, but Log9 has come up with an original idea. So I mean, I totally support innovative thinking. So full credit to the promoters of Log9. One of the key elements, I think, one of the success factors will be, and I would assume that the initial cost of a graphene-based battery would be a lot higher than what we may likely see for lithium-ion. And maybe Pankaj, you can respond to this a little bit later. So, are you looking at some innovative financing models as well? Including a lot of companies are thinking about, hey, the consumer can pay on a use basis, and so that way you make it kind of
Pay
independent
per
of the
kilometer,
initial
or do
cost.
you want to reduce the acquisition cost by separating battery from the vehicles? What are the arrangements that you are looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, thanks, Kevin, for asking that question. I think that's a very important piece to be solved along with the technology. Financing is an equally important and a tricky piece to navigate through as EV adoption is going through. Obviously, there are other business models such as battery swap that has been being tried out in the market, and fixed battery solutions are always has been there. Our solution is actually a fixed battery solution. The batteries are definitely more expensive than a conventional lithium-ion batteries, and hence, the business model that we have on top of it is that in a conventional EV battery, you get about, let's say, give and take about 2,500 cycles on an average. In our uh, in our batteries, you get easily 15,000 plus cycles, depending on what C rate you're doing. And if you reduce the C rate, you can actually go as high as 40,000 cycles. So, and that is something that we've extensively tested. So, coming back to Nabil's question, that every battery tech company says my battery is better than yours. The whole idea is the proof is in the pudding of testing. And at Log9, what we've done is we've done probably the longest continuous single battery, single cell testing done. And when we claim that we have projected 40,000 cycles, it is based on a certain amount of third party accredited testing that we've done on our batteries. So where normally other batteries completely die down by 2,500 cycles, we just continue to go on. So I think that is what gives us the confidence that this is something for a long haul. And obviously, a battery that's going to live 3 to 4 times longer than a conventional EV battery, even if it's 2 times more expensive, it becomes, on a total cost of ownership, it becomes, let's say, easily about 40 to 50% cheaper than a current electric vehicle battery. So the business, coming back to Kavan's question, I think the business model, obviously the one that we are preferring, is we would love to give a financial uh, plan to our users where they can use this battery as a resource rather than buying the battery upfront. So they can buy the vehicle, and for the battery they can enter into a leasing agreement with us where we can charge them on a monthly basis. They don't have to take in the battery. There's no swap. It's just that the battery is built with an IoT and an app on top of it. So you use it. So now we're becoming something like the energy becomes a subscription model. And I truly believe that's the future where we don't have to buy batteries. We should buy subscription to energy. And that's what we're getting towards. And I think that's again a big opportunity in the Indian market for NBFCs and financial houses to come forward and be part of this huge revolution that's happening. There's a lot of opportunity for financing these energy solutions, and I think the movers will be the biggest benefiters from this market that is getting created right now.
That's an interesting
Right.
aspect.
But Pankaj, yes. Sorry, a follow-up question there, Pankaj. We don't have any evidence of what's the life of the battery, right? And a typical financer will always say, okay, what am I financing and what's the value of the asset at the end of that period? So how are you trying to overcome that challenge, as you look at financiers for this program? Because then the perceived risk will be very high, and then obviously the cost goes up even further.
No, you're right. I think there are two levels of, trust is the base layer of all of these transactions to happen, for a financer to kind of come behind this technology, for an insurer to kind of write an insurance on top of it, and even for a vehicle to kind of claim that kind of run in the market. We've done it two ways. One is, we have been testing our vehicles in actual road condition. Last 6 7 months they have been doing, running around 2 or 3 different cities. So we've been collecting real live data on delivery. So we have a lot of partners, these are real time fleet aggregators with whom we've been doing delivery for last 6 7 months. So we've collected a lot of data in terms of what battery degradation we're happening, if it is happening anyhow or not, the range we are getting, the temperature stability, the charging time, the experience of the driver. So one part is, the real life use case of the battery along with the vehicle that we're doing on road testing ourselves. I think we have just completed our 7 month. We have entered the 8th month of that testing, and we continue to do that. The second is, with we've done separate third party testing on our cells, and that's the main part of it. See, the advantage that our cells have is that we can go as high as 5C to higher C rates for charge discharge rates. So I can charge and discharge my cells much faster than let's say a normal lithium ion battery. So where for a typical lithium ion battery, the charge discharge is happening at, let's say, 0.5 C, and they will take, let's say, a year or two to generate the data to show that their batteries can last, let's say, even 1,000 cycles or 900 cycles. What we are doing is, because our charge discharge cycles are so fast, within a matter of couple of months, I'm able to cross 2,500 and go up to 3,000, and slowly going up to 4,000-5,000. And as you can see, the data that we have from the third party, the degradation in the cells across all the cycles that we have done so far clearly projects out that even at a 5-year timeline, the degradation in the battery would be less than 2%. So because of this third party testing, large C rates of charge discharge, we are collecting data 4 to 5 times longer charging discharging data than any other battery in the market right now. That gives us the confidence.
Kavan, you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point. What's the target segment that you're looking at for this solution? Is it primarily going to be business to business, fleets, because that's where you need the low downtime and quick turnaround, or do you think this will eventually even extend to the consumer segments as well?
Yeah, I would love to see that in the consumer sector, because I think everyone should have this technology. But for us, I think the biggest problem that we solve is not so much for the B2C, but the B2B to begin with. See, typically these high power cells, these batteries which have such fast charge discharge rates, are suited for when you need the vehicle to be running all the time. So if you're a fleet manager, or if you're a driver, and then you have this as as your revenue generating machine, you want the machine to be continuously on, maybe doing 2 or 3 shifts in a day, and that is the problem statement that we have solved in the market. With the current battery tech, what happens is the person does 2 hour delivery, morning 8 to 10 o'clock, they'll do the deliveries, and then they have to put the vehicle for charging for next 3 to 4 hours. Then they get 2 hour delivery, then 4 hours of charging. So we did this calculation, and it seems like in a conventional EV battery, in a 3-wheeler, for example, the downtime could be as high as 60 to 70%. So imagine if you're asking somebody to invest into a equipment that's going to generate revenue for them, but then you're also telling them, by the way, you cannot use it 60-70% of the time. It's going to be downtime. We've done the flip of it. In our case, the downtime is as low as 18%. That means we can be always on. We are 88% always on, because you can do opportunity charging, plug it for 10-15 minutes. And because these batteries have such large charge discharge rates and such long cycle life, you don't worry about charging discharging very, very frequently. So for B2B, when you have to do deliveries morning till evening, like in this festive season, we had requests where people came to us and said, because of the Diwali rush, they're planning to do an 18-hour delivery shifts, 3 drivers sharing the vehicle, and they said, "Sir, we don't have any other vehicle, either petrol or your electric vehicle." So we gave them our electric vehicle, and we said we'd run with it. Just whenever there's a shift change, whenever you're loading the vehicle, just plug it in, 20-30 minutes of charge, good enough. I'll give you a good 90 plus kilometer range. So truly speaking, in my opinion, this is a purely a B2B last mile fleet manager's dream machine, and I would love for to see this being used for those 18-hour shifts every day.
Sure. But what's been the response like when you approach some of the incumbents and existing OEMs, who are now kind of getting used to the lithium-ion technology? They've tested it, and here comes another, sort of disruptive idea. So, how's been that journey and response so far?
Yeah, I think it's been very very interesting. I think the OEMs have had a mixed experience. Obviously, uh, couple of OEMs have tried, a conventional lithium-ion battery, and the response was not that good. So they have an internal knee-jerk reaction to, let's say, an EV. But at the same time, every OEM understands that this is the next big wave, and they have to make some strategic decision to invest and be with a technology that kind of gives them that power, performance, and peace of mind. We call it man ki shanti, and so it always, our conversations with our OEM really starts with this man ki shanti conversation. We lay down our data right in front of them. And we say, here is my battery, here is the life, here are the number of cycles I've tested, here is the certifications that I have, and here is the little bit of my chemistry that's going to support you through this. So my import dependencies are not that high. It kind of starts with that. And then what we do is a very, I say a very unique approach. We take some initial vehicles from them. We ask them to ship it us to a Vithi hall. We will put our battery in it. We'll put our technology in it. We will integrate it and we'll run it and we'll show it to them. We say, don't take our word for it. You send the vehicle to me in about a month or two. I'm going to send you your vehicle fitted with my technology. You let your guys run it. Make your own first principle understanding on how good this technology is. Let me not sell it to you. You use it and then come back to us. And that's how we got Omega Seki as to be a partner with us. Omega just sent us one vehicle, we integrated it, we gave it back to them, and now Omega Seki is having a very good response for their Age Plus Rapid EV, and I think they continue to remain very very focused, and they, as an OEM, have committed large resources in supporting this Rapid EV rollout into the market, which is a testimonial that once the right battery technology meets the right OEM, we get the right product in the market.
Great. And last question from my end, maybe Nabil, you can take over from there. But the supply chain and the scalability of your technology, I think that those are really important questions, right? Because you do it in a pilot mode and then you do it at a commercial launch mode, totally different game. And in my journey of working with startups, I've seen that's one really stiff challenge to overcome. So what's the plan on that, and what kind of supply chain are you looking at building, or is it going to be all in-house? What are your thoughts on that?
No, you're right. I think that's the other very critical piece that we had to solve and continue to solve that as we speak today. We know that Log9's strength is innovation, and we want to retain that strength. We want to be laser focused, keeping ourselves as the highly innovative, inwardly focused, grounds up deep technology company. And when it comes, so we will create these technologies, this cell to pack to battery level technologies, and also the electronics layer on top of it, and the software layer that we're writing on top of it. Everything that has to do with innovation, we will do it within our centers, and that's a pretty much the focus that we have. Obviously, for any cell chemistry to go out, you have to create the processes and certain amount of internal, even I would say a proto manufacturing line within the center before you give it to, let's say, a manufacturing partner. So at Log9, we will always be having this, I would say, a pilot to proto to partial commercializing kind of a line in which all our chemistries will be, we will create the SOPs, the manufacturing steps for it. But that's pretty much about it. We don't intend to become a big manufacturer of cells ourselves. Obviously, we will depend on external partners. We are in conversation with some of the leading manufacturing players that have much larger abilities and pedigree in manufacturing battery technologies. So our idea is we will innovate, we will crack the code, we will crack the chemistry, create the SOPs, and then hand over the manufacturing to the right manufacturing partner for us. And I think that's the way to scale up. we can remain the sharp, focused startup mindset while we leverage the strength of our manufacturing partners for that.
Thank you. That answers quite an important question, Kavan. I'll request you, Kavan, to stay back before we take your final assessment. And I go back to the audience question. I have one or two questions. Just want to understand, it's my curiosity, Pankaj. What has been the toughest time when you started off till now? What is one thing that gives you sleepless night? And how easy it is to get funds right now? How because there's so many startups doing around in the similar space when we talk about electric mobility space. But of course, this is also one of the most attractive destination for the investors also. So can you share a little bit on your initial journey? How did you get your first investor on board, and what's been so far the toughest task for you to overcome or surmount, and how are you trying to deal with that?
Yeah, I think this. I doesn't matter whether it's Log9 or any other startup. I think all of us have exactly the same emotional, mental, entrepreneurial journey. I think it's needless to say, entrepreneurship is it tests everything from intellect to emotional power to mental health to everything. First of all, at Log9, the most unique thing had been, I've been blessed to have two great co-founders in Akshay and Karthik. When you have two more generals with you who are, extremely focused and talented and have the guts and the ability of an entrepreneurial execution, it kind of makes life a little easy. So I have to give it to my other two co-founders, without whom this journey would have been 10 times more tougher. Um, uh, I would go back to the early days. I think the initial part was when we are indebted to our angel investors. Those are guys who just came in when we were just, bunch of a small group of people. None of this electric vehicle, none of this stuff was there. We were just, bright young scientists out of IITs. And credit to those early angel investors that we have. We had Gems as one of our angel investors, and we had a couple of other angel investors who were part of us. And even IIT Roorkee invested initially into us. So these are the early people who trusted their money and trust in us, and that brought a lot of sense of responsibility to us. That for at that point in time, a couple of crores is a big money, which still is. But at that point in time, when the product has not even gone onto the market, credit to those angel investors, and I always have a very warm place for
How did
them.
you impress them? What was it that really impressed them to join you guys? Just because of your background or the idea? What really clicked to them? Because you're saying the product was not ready then, only the idea. So how easy, how tough it was, and what were the key questions that were coming to you?
No, you're right. I think convincing somebody to put investment into you when you're at a very early stage, at an idea stage, when the product is not proven. You have some early designs. Um, I think it becomes the big part of the conversation becomes the vision and the clarity of execution that you have beyond the product stage at which you are. So we were able to communicate very very clearly that although we have the ideas done, we have some early patterns in place, but we really thought through the process of how we're going to convert it. We also did a lot of benchmark with our competition in the market and looked at what kind of technology, team, investment uh, they needed to create similar technologies in the market. So we were able to use some references in the market. But at the end of the day, I think it was a people to people conversation and a lot of back and forth where we had a lot of questions from them come back to us. But every question was an opportunity for us to question our own business plan, go back, check our own thesis, and come back with either we agreed with them or we disagreed with them, but based on our own homework. So I think credit to that human to human conversation and ability to clearly show a vision of execution. And then obviously, we executed that vision. I mean, the investment that came to us was always in milestones. So it was all about, fair enough, we were able to convince you to give us some money, but it's tied to milestones. So now the onus was on us that we have talked the vision, now execute the vision. So That was a real acid test for us and for our angel investors to stay together. But you miss some milestone, but you hit some others. And I think that's where the true characteristics of the team and the investor come together.
You
I'm
just,
super proud. I'm super
you
proud
just
that our investors are doing this.
you talked about the scalability when Kavan asked, you want to remain conservative, you want to be a largely technology provider, unlike your counterparts who want to be $1 trillion company or $1 billion company. Why do you think you cannot make into those space?
No, I think, in terms of value creation, the kind of value Log9 will create would be similar to some of the biggest companies. We have no doubts in our mind that, this is a company that is heading to a
Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line? Where do you see Log9? Because that's the revolution that we expect by 2030. The electric vehicle mopping out the entire market. So how do you see yourself being placed?
very, very clearly as a responsible energy company of this country. We want to stand shoulder to shoulder with the government of India to make 500 gigawatt renewable energy a dream. We want to be part of the solution. We want to be a company that will be recognized that wherever there is a solar or a wind project is coming up, Log9 batteries will be able to support that kind of energy back into the grid. Wherever there is an electric vehicle that is getting sold in India, especially in B2B market space, it is powered by Log9. So we have very clear vision that we will walk the talk. We will be a completely a sustainable company in the actions that we do, in the products that we make, and the technologies that we develop. So in 5 years, for sure, a responsible energy company, shoulder to shoulder with India to make it, 500 gigawatt plus renewable energy space, a big player in that. 10 year down the road, I am very, very confident that we will be a company that would have gone beyond India. We would have been serving markets which are in the tropics where these kind of batteries are needed. We truly believe that we're building the technologies for countries where the temperature and moisture is the biggest holding block for EV adoption to happen, and that's where our technology will go. So, Middle East, Latin America, Southeast Asia, I think we will have a pretty long spread of our battery technology. And in about 10 years, we should be the leading energy company out of India, supporting not only renewables, but also looking at what are the other sustainable energy solutions that can continue to build India into a self-reliance. Just like our Honorable Prime Minister has said, to build a nation, you have to build yourself, and Atmanirbharta has to be the crux of that innovation. So we are kind of gunning for that.
What about your segment? Are you going to continue to focus on three-wheeler or commercial vehicle segment, or you will explore the opportunity coming up in the cars and other space also?
No, absolutely. I think our B2B go-to-market strategy is only the start of things. There is no reason we will not get into a B2C segment, four-wheeler segment definitely. Right now, we only talked about one of our technology, which is the high power cells, which we commercialize, the Rapid battery. We've got two more technologies coming out from our company, and that's what one is going to be in the ultra capacitor space, and there's another one that we're building, which is the aluminum air fuel cell. So we are solving the problem for all segments. When it comes to immediately last mile deliveries, our Rapid batteries, which are commercialized in the market, is ready. For passenger cars, four wheelers, our ultra capacitors, hybrid supercapacitors are going to be the central part that's going to make those electric vehicles far more better, safer, stronger, and insta charged enabled. And then, for long haul intracity transport for trucks and buses, we will be commercializing our fuel cells for that. So that's why I say we are going to become a circular, responsible energy company out of India that serve all three
Okay.
segments.
Pankaj, we are running out of time, so I'll take quickly one question from the audience. This is Ajay Saraswat want to understand what is the load capacity of your vehicle and what would be the cost for end buyer? If you could quickly tell us.
Yeah, so this particular Rage Plus Rapid EV comes, this is an L5 category three wheeler, so it can carry all the way up till 700 kgs in one go. There are two variants of this particular vehicle, one with a open tray and one with a 140s, CFT closed box. The open tray Rage Plus Rapid EV has been commercialized after a 1 lakh rupee festive discount at 3.59 lakh rupees ex showroom. And the one with the covered body top is being commercialized at 3.99 lakhs ex showroom price. So this offer is going on for the first 1,000 vehicle. Needless to say, both these vehicles are carrying a 1 lakh rupee discount on the MRP at this point of time.
I'll take one more question, one last question from the audience before I ask Kawan to give his final verdict. He wants to know what are the arrangement you are making for waste management of the battery or batteries recycling, because that's going to be another big challenge when we talk about pollution or or
Correct,
environment.
correct. We are very close to that subject. First of all, as I mentioned, our batteries do not use cobalt, which is one of the trickiest elements to handle in battery recycling. Our batteries are quite recyclable. That's the beauty of the way we've constructed this entire cell to battery technology. And we, as founders, are also, promoting and investing into businesses which are completely in recycle batteries. So that's an area we, people as personally as founders ourselves believe into it, and we are investing our own private money in that direction to create that ecosystem. That while we solve the problem for the battery tech, we also have to solve problem for everybody else when it comes to reducing the load of this recycle back into the world. The other thing is because our batteries survive easily for 15-20 years now, so the amount of recycled material that will come out of our technology will be at least 1/8 of a conventional EV battery in that sense.
Thank you, Pankaj. Certainly, indeed, a very impressive idea that you're talking about. Especially, you're not using cobalt. That's one going to be one of the biggest bottleneck when we talk about lithium-ion batteries. That's a big, I think, innovation that you are talking about. The life cycle, you have huge life cycle, higher number of rotation on a per charge basis. These all are some of the elements that is certainly great. Kavan, what's your thought if you have to evaluate this startup, this company on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being lowest, 10 being highest, on aspects of scalability, on aspect of adaptability, on aspect of business viability or profitability? How will you rate this?
Okay, thanks, Nabil. First, to qualify, I'm not in a position to recommend either way. At PwC, we are very careful about that. But I would just like to share my impressions about the idea and what could be some of the critical points going forward for the Log9 team. So clearly, I think the idea is really different, and it's very original and disruptive. As Pankaj mentioned, they have done the tests, and in test conditions, the product is really performing really well. And I think they've been able to get funding, as well as there's a product that is getting launched with the OEM that he named. So clearly, I think the basics are all in place. One of the key challenges would be, in my opinion, to get the right kind of financing ecosystem in place. Have the right kind of customer education program going, so that many of the B2B customers that they are targeting are willing to go ahead and opt for this technology over lithium ion or even lead acid based. The other dimension is, I'm not sure if some of the incentive program that the government has announced, whether it would be applicable for this technology. It certainly would be applicable for other technology as well. So I think those are dimensions that one would need to look at. And clearly, I think Log9's vision is more broad based than just mobility. They are talking about becoming really the energy solution company for the country, developed in India. So I believe there are lots of positives in the way the team has put the idea together, and also the initial support that they've received, both from the investment community as well as from their customers. Also, a case in point is that they are very focused in the sense that they know what their strengths are. A lot of the startups, when it gets into manufacturing, is a huge operating model challenge, because the kind of skills you need while getting into large scale manufacturing can really suck up all your bandwidth and energy and take your resources away from the core. So in some sense I would say, having the ability to say that this is our space, and yes, we will license technology to manufacturers who can scale up, I think is a smart move. Ultimately, one would need to see how the technology plays out in the marketplace, and how we see more and more customers acquiring it. And I think for that, maybe 1 year from now, we would have a greater clarity and more use cases and more vehicles in operation. But all the best from my end, and Team PwC, to Pankaj and the founders at Log9. Back to you, Nabil.
Thank you so much, Kavan. You have beautifully analyzed and put your perspective. And Pankaj, thank you so much for joining. And Kavan, thank you so much for joining us today and giving your perspective on the business scenario in this space. Thank you so much once again, everyone, for watching ET Auto Startup Adda, a station for innovation. See you next week with another startup founders and experts. Till then, take care and keep reading ET Auto for all the analysis and in-depth stories and breaking news on automotive and mobility industry. Thank you so much once again.